Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
That is why I don't do Spanish. Anyway.
Hi, Miss Jenkins.
We like to say
hi, afternoon class.
Hi. We miss you. Yeah, we miss you. We love you.
We miss you.
Good luck in the basketball game.
Okay, so we're going to go through some of the homework last night. And I had told my group already that we were going to do this. So take your homework out.
Teaching.
Yeah, we're going to start on number 5. Okay, number 5. There was a trick to it because when you tried solving, well, either of the equations, it gave you some nasty decimals, which I was hoping would tell you don't use the decimals because they're nasty.
What they can.
Instead of using nasty decimals, what can you use?
Fractions.
You can use fractions, which I know none of you like, but that's kind of what has to happen if you've got repeating decimals that you can't use. You have to work with fractions. So we're going to go through number 5, how that would work. Actually, I can work over here. So when you've got these two equations, neither of them are nice, but which one is nicer? Rachel?
The bottom one.
The bottom one is nicer because it doesn't have all the decimals on it. So I get that this is kind of a mess, but at least it's less messy than that one is. So I want to use this one to figure out what x equals or what y equals. So over here, I'm going to do 13x minus 6y equals 10. And I'm going to solve for y. Okay, I'm going to solve for y. So I'm going to subtract, no, I'm going to solve for x.
Okay. Wait, that's great. We love that.
I'm going to solve for x. Sorry, change my mind. I'm going to solve for x. Mainly because I want to be able to add 6y, because then I'm going to keep all positive numbers over here and I don't have to worry about negatives. So I'm going to add 6y to both sides. That goes away. That's going to leave me with 13x equals 6y plus 10. You see how I got all positive stuff here? Makes things a little bit nicer, not that it really matters, but a little bit. And then I got to divide by 13, which this is where the mess comes in at. So some of you started to do this and you got x equals, and you grabbed your calculators and did 6 divided by 13 and you were like, that doesn't work.
Oh, I know what it is.
Or you just knew it wasn't going to work and didn't know where to go from there. But you can leave it as 6/13 y.
Or 2
which is
1,
bad,
13.
but, huh?
Or 2 1, 13.
That's if it was 13 over 6.
Oh, yeah.
But this is you might have done it the other way, and that's fine. Plus 10/13. So I'm going to leave it as those bad decimals. I promise you it's going to work out eventually. Just not quite yet.
Eventually.
So since I solved for x, I'm going to take this and substitute it in for x in that other equation. So that becomes 3.25 times this.
It's madness. Yes, it is.
Okay, so that's the 3.25 times what I got for x minus 1.5y equals 1.25. And y'all can be writing this down. Like if you didn't get this, you can be writing it. And if your book is a mess and it's all wrong, I would say grab a sheet of paper and do it on there instead. If you're running out of space. This is where a calculator will come in handy. Normally that's not the case with fractions. But grab your calculators because I want you to see something.
Can you do like 6 divided by 13?
Yes. So we're still going to do 6 divided by 13.
Is there a
But we're going to multiply it by 3.25 at the same time. So we don't have to deal with the repeating decimal. So I need to distribute this into each of these terrible numbers. So you're going to do 6 divided by 13 times 3.25 and then hit enter. Lily, what'd you get?
I got, oh, sorry.
Oh.
I was reading on the next.
Oh, okay, sorry. What'd y'all get? Caitlin?
1.5.
1.5y. Notice, no terrible nasty decimal. was, but when I multiplied that by that, it was fine. So then we're gonna do the same thing with 10/13. So you're gonna do 10 divided by 13 times 3.25, all at the same time. Enter. Irene.
3.5.
2.5. Okay, so that's what I got when I distributed. Not terrible any longer. Not great, but not terrible. Then I have minus 1.5y equals 1.25.
You can cancel out the ones.
After you distribute, you gotta look at whether you have like terms or not. And I do, I have a 1.5y minus 1.5y. So my y's go away. I end up with 2.5 on the left, 1.25 on the right. They don't equal. If they don't equal, it is no solution.
I didn't do that work, but somehow I got it right. I got no solution somehow.
I don't know.
It was whack.
I don't know.
It was just big whack.
This test is gonna be harder to see.
She's like, you are so right.
I can see the
Maybe.
headlines now.
Okay.
Every student
Test.
Okay, I'm not gonna do 6. I know that one might have been difficult,
It is.
but I can't do all of them.
Number 10.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that one.
That's the one I was going to, was 10, yes.
Oh, you're doing all the ones you already
I know, I know. Joe, can you turn that this way?
Definitely. Sorry, let me just move this. Yay.
Great job, Joe. What a great
Excellent.
See, I can do basic things.
Okay, for number 10, it's the same kind of problem that we've been working on. So they are at a public swimming pool, they're selling tickets to get into the pool, they're selling adult tickets, they're selling children tickets. You are told how many tickets they sell, and you're told like how much everything is gonna cost. So you're gonna have 2 equations. One of the equations is dealing with the tickets sold. That's gonna be one of them. The other equation is gonna be with, can I just say money? It's dealing with the value of the tickets, how much money was brought in from the tickets. So for the tickets sold, they sold 481 tickets. How did they sell 481? Like what did they sell to get to 481? Christian?
Children and adult tickets, so C plus A.
Children and adult tickets. So the children tickets and the adult tickets give me 481 tickets total. This is gonna be the equation we solve first because it's easy. Like I can already see this one's easy. The other one is gonna be dealing with the money, which takes this equation, but puts the money into it. So if I've got children's tickets, how much do they each cost, Rachel?
1.25.
Okay. $1.25 per child ticket plus, is it $2.25?
Yes.
$2.25 per adult ticket, and it is a total of
865.25.
That was a lot of money.
running out of room. I should have moved over, but that's okay. So here's my children ticket money brought in, plus my adult ticket money coming in is my total money. So for this one, I don't want to solve that one, right? I'm not solving that. That's a terrible mess. We don't want to do that. So we want to solve this one. You can solve for either A or C because neither of them have a number in front of it. Let's say I solve for A. Okay, got rid of the children tickets, and I know that the adult tickets are 481 minus C. Are you with me?
Yes.
So, in place of the adult tickets over here, I'm going to put 41 minus C. So 1.25 C plus 2.25. Instead of being times by 8, it's going to be times by 481 minus C.
Problem like this, I always get confused if you're allowed to on the distributive property whenever you multiply them. It joins with like the variable if there's a variable, right? Okay.
So we've got to distribute substitute into those parentheses, so that leaves me the 1.25C in the front. 2.25 times 481. I don't know what that is. Irene?
1082.25.
Okay. And then 225 times a minus C is a minus 225C.
It just keeps getting longer and
Mhm.
longer.
Now we get to start bringing things together
Yeah,
though. Once that distributive property is done,
I was like,
things start to get easier. Because I've got that and that can be added together. So what's 1.25 minus 2.25? Negative 1, so we get negative 1C. And then I got the 1082.25.
Ooh. So we're gonna have to.
What comes after that? Ime?
Subtract 1,082.
Okay.
big wacko number right there.
Okay, now this is gonna give me a negative number, right?
Yeah.
800 something minus 1,000 something is gonna get you a negative number.
That's good.
That's okay, because I got a negative over here as well. So eventually I'm gonna get rid of that negative. Trevor, what is it?
Negative 217.
Negative 217.
I got that.
Nice, neat number.
And now
Divide by negative 1.
positive.
C is 217. So that means I sold 217 children tickets.
Yay.
Then I gotta figure out how many
I
adult
thought you were
tickets.
about to say, I just sold 217 shoes.
Okay, so I'm gonna substitute this back in here, solve for C, substitute for C. So my adult tickets are the total tickets minus the ones that were sold for children, which means the adult tickets are
264.
264.
That's weird. The more adults. Wait, never mind.
Lily, you got it right? Good job.
That must be a big sum.
I can't relate.
Do you have to like, or all right? So you just have to pay to get in. You don't have to pay to swim.
Yeah.
I thought it would
That
be.
one anyway.
I think it's just a lot of birthday parties.
Joe, can you turn it back this way?
Definitely.
Photo.
Just stare at that whiteboard.
Do you need 12 or 13?
I need, yeah. 11.
Wait. I didn't get to 11.
I need 12. I need all of them.
I just need 12 and 11. Wait, I think I missed it.
And some of you aren't saying anything. Does that mean you got them all right?
11.
I think I did.
12? 12 and 11? 12 and 11? Okay, well we gotta pick one of them.
And
12. 12.
12 was easy.
12.
For you.
11. Can we take a vote?
I think.
Yes, raise your hand for 11.
Everybody's gonna say 11. I can explain.
Okay, 5, raise your hand for 12.
I'm fine with 12.
That's only 4 for 12.
Lily, raise your hand for
Five.
Air high five, Trevor.
She needed 12.
No, I wasn't raising my hand. I was gonna air high five Trevor.
I can, I'm 12 and.
Now you're for 12 too?
So we have 5 and 5, it's split.
Miss
Can I
Shogren.
try to explain both? Well, I guess we gotta do both of them.
Okay, let's do both of them.
Yay.
Yes.
Okay, never mind. Drove back over here.
All right. I'm loving this job. Just have to slide a book.
I'm loving it.
Say hi, Siri.
Okay, so let's start with number 12.
Hey, Siri.
This one is a great problem.
Why?
You just wait.
You're crazy.
Oh, it probably works itself out, doesn't it?
In a way, I guess.
Okay, let's look at number 12.
Siri's the most helpful person ever.
Look really carefully at these two equations.
Oh, I know the answer.
Oh,
Hold on, that's fine. Let people look. Let people look.
oh, dang it. I'm so dumb.
at these numbers here and compare it to their partners over here, you should see something. And if you're not there, quite there yet, I will show you. Just bear with me for a second. I'm gonna multiply that entire thing by 2. I'm gonna double that entire equation. And when I double it, I'm gonna get 2y plus 160x equals 100. I'm doubling everything. If you're gonna change an entire equation, you gotta change an entire equation. You can't just do parts. Both sides need to be multiplied. Okay, I'm gonna write that right underneath here, but I'm gonna change these two around. I'm gonna flip them around. So I've got 160x plus 2y equals 100.
You can do that.
Yeah,
You can just like, there's a 2 now.
It's just addition.
I just multiply both sides by 2. That's like, you can do that when solving an equation, right? So the same thing works here.
You only multiplied the
100.
by 2. Not the 50 by 2.
I multiplied the y and the 80.
No, on the other one.
Side, on the left side. You only multiplied one of them. You just pulled out 100 over there.
No, that came from this equation.
So you're allowed to just stick the 100 there? Well,
No,
I multiplied it by 2.
I know.
And the y and the 80.
No, on the other one,
On the
you
left side.
have a 50 and then you have 100, but shouldn't that be
No,
a...
I just wrote this right here.
Oh,
You just switched it.
you confused me.
I was so confused. I didn't know you just moved that one over there.
No, I just moved over
She
here.
literally said
I
that
did-
the left part, she said bar.
I didn't say that, but
5 and 8 and 8 plus 5 plus
so I just wanted you to see them vertically what happens here. So this equation, the left side of both equations are the same exact thing, but they don't equal the same thing.
Oh.
So if they don't equal the same thing, what does that mean about them?
No
No
solution.
No
solution.
solution. It means they're gonna have a different y-intercept. But if you didn't get that part, if you didn't see that, you still could get no solution.
I'm so bad.
That's nice.
Man. Oh, it's no solution because the y-intercept. Wait, that's the y-intercept, right?
Okay, if you didn't see that, which probably didn't because you weren't really looking for it, I'm just showing you how that could work if you were to see it. So I would say that this is my easier equation, specifically y. So I'm going to subtract 80x from both sides. I would get y equals 50 minus 80x. Okay, now what do I do? I solved the equation for y. Now what do I do?
Plug it in
For which equation?
for the 2-1.
Okay, plug it right in here for the y. So I solve for y, substitute for y. So this becomes 160x plus 2 times okay, so instead of 2y, I've got 2 times what y is equal to, 50 minus 80x. Distribute here. I would get 160x plus 100 minus 160x equals 50. What happens?
Something out. Okay, that's it.
160 and minus 160, the x's go away. I get 100 equals 50, but it doesn't equal. That's a no solution. So you can go through and get no solution that way as well. But I do want you to see, do you see the numbers that are here? 150? Isn't that the same thing I had before? The top one had 150 and the bottom one had 100?
Yes.
Okay, that's kind of how that all goes together. So that's number 12.
Are we gonna rip these out and give it to you?
No.
Or-
Number 11, so flip back in your books.
Oh wait, we're not turning these in?
I can't have you turn them in when I've done most of the problems.
That's true.
That's not very fair. Okay, number 11.
Yes, it is, because we didn't.
Number 11 says, Tim incorrectly says that the solution of the system is x equals -9 and y equals -4. So A, what is the correct solution? So we've got to find the solution. So I have my two equations, 6x minus 2y equals negative 6, right? Am I seeing that right? Yes. And 11 equals y minus 5x. Which equation should I solve? Which variable is the easiest for me to isolate? Okay, you all need to have an opinion on this. Which one is the easiest to solve?
I know which
If
one.
you've got questions on it, I feel like I'm just doing the problem for you, which isn't going to do you any good. Which equation should I solve? Siri. For which variable? Which one doesn't have a number in front of it?
Why? Oh, sorry.
The y. You always want to solve for the variable that doesn't have a number in front of it, because that means I'm not dividing by anything, and it's never going to give me a bad number. So I'm going to,
Sorry.
Rachel,
I have a question.
what's your question?
So for the 6x minus 2y equals negative 6, why, so if you did that, because like, 2 and 6 are like, okay, anyway,
Divisible?
so you get what I mean. So would that like, is it just smarter to do y since there is no number in front of it?
It's just a little shorter.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all. So I would get that 11 plus 5x equals y. I don't like having the solved part on the right, so I'm just going to switch these around. Y equals 11 plus 5x. I've solved for a variable. Now what?
That's it. Oh, you.
Rachel?
You need to put that into the 6x minus 2, and then you'd multiply.
Okay, we're going to put that in here for y. Hopefully you're working ahead on this. My job is not to do this problem for you. It is just to guide you. Go ahead and substitute that in. Do the distributive property. And if you want to stop at that part, you can.
So when you're substituting, if you're substituting for just like one answer, would you only, so you solve one, then you just put in the other one, whatever comes out of the other one is your final answer?
You always have two answers. So you get one answer from substituting the first time, and then you substitute again and get the other answer. There's always two.
Oh, if there is no solution.
Oh, yes. That's what it should look like. What did you distribute? Not 2.
What? 11.
Negative 2.
Oh, yeah.
Negative 2 has to be distributed, so be really careful. So we've got the 6x.
Oh, I did that. I got scared for a second.
Negative 2 times 11 is negative 22. Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10x.
I done you.
Okay, so we got rid of the parentheses. After you get rid of the after you do the distributive property, get rid of the parentheses. What's typically next? Christian?
You add 10x to 6x?
You combine your like terms, yes. But these ones you're not actually going to add. Be careful that you're subtracting. So it's going to be 6 minus 10, which is negative 4x, minus 22 equals negative 6.
Okay.
What's after that? Nope, Rachel can't answer. Siri can't answer.
Wait.
Christian can't answer. Amy,
Add 22
add 22.
on both sides.
You don't actually add it, just get rid of that one.
Right, we're going to subtract it. It's going to be 16. Lily, what do I do next?
You divide by negative 4.
Good. X equals negative 4. then what?
I know.
And then what do I do, Trevor?
You go and put that into the spot of the x.
Okay, good. We're gonna substitute that back over here for that x.
Yep.
So we got x, now we're gonna get y. So y equals 11 plus 5 times negative 4. Y is equal to 11, and that's negative 20. What's 11 and negative 20?
-9.
Negative 9. So y equals negative 9. So the answer that we got, yeah, they mixed them up. So our answer is -4, -9
That's
as an ordered pair. They accidentally put -9, -4. They had that backwards. So that was the error that was made.
I got 1 and 11.
I got 1, 5, and a bunch of weird decimals. So
Okay, once you're done with that, I want you to take out your whiteboard markers.
Will we need our book? So are we gonna have online homework? Oh, I thought you were gonna say we have no homework. Sugar, is this eighth grade book?
Yes.
So we're learning eighth grade. Are we gonna have a book next year?
Yep.
Are you gonna know something?
Where does she come from?
that
Yeah.
the door.
You're behind me.
I can't figure out. Really quite
I know what we need.
I
I
don't
think
know.
to really become good YouTubers,
I
they
think
need to
we should
you need to pay somebody for an
And
intern.
they said it's the.
This video is not too
Weird. We need a good intern.
You can't do that, yes.
Then I got all those ones for it.
That's only 5.
I knew it was something so obvious. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay, with your whiteboard markers.
My little brother was using mine yesterday for spelling on something, and he took it out of my bag and forgot to put it back in. Do you have an extra one that I could use?
Where do you think they are?
Right over here.
You should know where they are.
I know where they are, 'cause I use like.
Okay, so you're gonna need your entire desk. Zach, put that away and take out your whiteboard marker.
Oh. I'm gonna do like what Siri does.
Please run for the rest of the day.
You guys are too much chaos for me today, like really too much. You're sane and moving at all times. Not all of you, but like 4 of you are. And it's killing my head. Yes, you're one of them. Okay, a parking lot charges, so this was partially worked through with you on the desk, or on the, up here. But I want you to figure out the rest of it. Sit down.
Just gonna go.
Sit down. A parking lot charges $7 per day to park on weekdays and $12 per day on weekends. Jamal parked his car in this lot for 6 days last week and spent a total of $52. How many days and weekdays and weekends, did Jamal park? That's really goofy. That's kind of worded weirdly. So he was there for 6 days total, right? What kinds of days was he there for? This is weird. But what kinds of days?
Like
Zach? Weekends and weekdays. Okay, we don't know that he was there for both Saturday and Sunday, so we can't say he was there for 2 days on the weekend, because we don't know that for sure. So, what is this? What do you think the x plus y is? And actually, we should read this. X is the number of weekdays, y is the number of weekends. It's a part I don't know. So if I add together the weekdays and the weekends, how many days was he there?
6 days.
He was there for 6 days. So the first equation you should write is x plus y equals 6. And write it in the upper, like, left-hand corner of your desk. Don't write it right in the middle or you're going to run out of room. Second equation is dealing with the cost for those days. So his weekdays cost him how much? Can you read it on there?
7 days.
$7 per day on the weekday, and that's X, and $12 per day on the weekend, for a total of $52. That part's up there already.
You want to start that equation on our desk?
Yeah, that equation too. So I want you to each go through and try to solve these.
Wait, below it or beside it?
Probably beside it, right? Maybe, but that's up to you. So I want you to work on your substitution.
Whichever one you substitute, you'll still get the answer, the same answer, right?
Yep. Why would you choose this equation when this one's so easy? Right? Choose the easy equation. When you solve for x or y, make sure you pick the easy equation, that first one. Don't be solving 7x plus 12y for y. That's going to get terribly messy. Solve this equation. Solve this equation for x or y. Do you see how easy this one is? Why are you trying to, because over here you're going to divide by 7, it's going to get really bad, right?
Sure.
Do this one instead.
Okay.
Yep, and then distribute your 12. Oh, wait, that's not good. That should be minus 5. 7 minus 12. Seven minus 12 is negative. That should be a 5 right there. The rest of it's right. What do you mean? Well, what is it? What's negative 7 plus 12? So it'll be plus. Yep. You do whatever the sign tells you to. Not yet. Minus 72. Are you subtracting?
Yeah.
So 52 minus 72. So you got to figure out what that is. If it's a plus, you got to subtract. Hold on. How did you go from here to here? When you subtracted y, doesn't that give you 6 minus y? Here, isn't y minus y gone? So x equals 6 minus y. You kind of changed up your whole order there. That's okay, that's fine.
So
That's what we're doing. Oh, whoa, what do we got? What do you got going on here? Yeah, but what's 52 minus 72? Oh, that's a number. You're supposed to find the number for that. And then negative 20 divided by negative 5 is 4.
So do it to the y too?
You substitute this in for x right here.
And for the y it's equal.
Oh,
I'm seeing a variety of answers. Not a lot of variety, but a little bit of variety. We gotta figure out who's right. I think it's 4 and 2. I think.
You're correct. Yay! Unless I'm wrong, but I'm never wrong.
Because I've seen more 4s and 2s than other things. So let's see here. I might have to do this 2 different times because some of you solve for x and some of you solve for y. So we got to kind of figure out where you went wrong if you went wrong. I'm going to start by solving for y. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. I think I saw most of you doing, or more of you doing this. So I'm going to get rid of the x. Y equals 6 minus x. How many of you use this method? How many of you got 6 minus x as your first substitution?
yay, Caitlin. Oh, wait, no. Yes.
Okay, a few more of you are saying yes. Okay, good. Because I saw quite a few of you doing it this way. So I'm going to take this 6 minus x, I'm going to substitute it in for y over here. So I get 7x plus 12. And now that 12 is getting multiplied by 6 minus x. So far, so good?
Yes.
For those of you doing it this method? Okay, so we get 7x plus, that's 72, minus 12x. We've got like terms here. 7 minus 12 is negative 5x, plus 72 equals 52. What do I do after that? Ime?
Subtract 72 from both sides.
And is it a problem that 52 minus 72 is a negative number?
No.
Is that a problem?
No.
How come not?
Because there's negative 5.
Because I got a negative 5 over here too, so that's going to be okay. Negative 5x equals negative 20. Divide by negative 5. X equals 4. And if you put that 4 back in over here, 6 minus 4 is 2. That's where that other answer came from. Do I need to do the other direction? No? Okay.
Do you want us to erase it?
Yep, erase that one. I might have to make this a little bit larger for you to see better. Drove now, you could get a Kleenex. Okay. Can you read that one? At the bottom? Oh, yeah, we gotta turn that. They can't see it. Sorry. There we go. Okay, it says.
On that one, you never put the
No, I said it out loud, but I didn't write it. Yeah. Trevor, hurry up so you can read it.
I can't read it.
Why?
I can kind of see it.
Oh,
But it's okay.
sorry.
It's okay.
Listen then.
Yeah.
Krista bought 24 notebooks and spent $104.
Actually.
Bought 24 notebooks and spent $104. The large notebooks cost $6 each, and the small notebooks cost $2 each. How many of each type of notebook did she buy? So she bought large notebooks and small notebooks, 24 of them total. Okay, so I want each of you to write your 2 equations, and I want to check those first. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. No, it's fine, sorry. How do you show a total of 24 notebooks? Yes, you can go ahead and start solving.
Bishop, did you see mine?
You can start solving. You can start solving. I want the other one too. Yes, I want the other one. Okay, you can start solving. You may start solving.
I got mine.
So would you subtract your large notebooks and your small notebooks for 24 total? There you go. Yep.
I can do
You
it.
can start solving.
I
You
can
can
do
start
it.
solving. Did you get the other one? Okay, good, yes. If I've checked your equations, you can begin trying to solve.
What about the other class?
Miss Jenkins will check them.
Miss Jenkins, great at math.
No show what it is.
Miss Jenkins, did you hear that?
Miss Jenkins, I'm sure of you. I know you know what they are.
That scared me a little bit.
When your L's here, make sure you always do the capital L, or you'll get it confused with a 1. Like as you move on, just keep making sure you write it like that.
I have a question.
What kind of an answer are you expecting to get?
A good answer.
What does a good answer mean?
Like positive.
Positive and
Like good, like not decimal, not fraction.
no, whole number is what that would be called. You're looking for a whole number.
Did she say full? Full?
No, that's for you. Number.
Use whatever sign's right in front of it, so plus 24.
Yeah, I think I did that. It looks right so far.
Looks right. I think that's gonna do.
Should be right. I don't see anything wrong with it. Make sure it comes to my number.
56. That's 56. That's what it is. That's supposed to be a 2y. That, but you combined it with 144. You need to be careful on your y's.
Oh, yes, but I substitute y over here. And if so, did I solve this correctly? Because I feel like I did not.
If you solve this for x, why don't you substitute 24? You solved both the equations.
I did?
Yeah, you should have taken this right into there.
I'm a genius. I truly am.
This sounded sarcastic.
Genius. Truly
Oh,
am.
that's when you minus 2 out. When you distribute the 2, that's going to be a 2 out. So when you combine it with the 6, it's going to be a 4 out. And then it'll divide.
Bless you.
I'm so smart.
Bless you.
Bruh, you good?
Good, bruh?
No, I'm good. I think that's one of the answers.
Don't tell me that.
What did I?
Yes.
You sure?
Yes.
I was about to try to pick up my desk and bring it to you for help. And I realized you were writing on our desk.
Picks up
Like I was about to try to pick it up, but I was like,
Trevor picks up your desk and I bet hold up. I wonder what the answer is then.
God dang it.
It divides exactly. Where's your calculator? You can use it. Okay. You're good, you're good.
so how would you pick?
Nope, that's negative 4 times x. How do you get rid of multiplication? You have to divide by negative 4.
I can do it.
you chose to solve this equation instead of this equation. You see how difficult this one is versus how difficult, it's gonna work. But do you see how much time it took you to solve that? And this would have just said minus x minus y, you would have been done with your solving. You see what I'm saying? So you made it more difficult, but that's okay. So, what's this in front of here? That's just a 1, right? Okay. So you did x plus 52. This y
Did it?
shouldn't be here though, because you substituted in 4y. So this is your y. So you get 1 times 52, 1 times negative 3x. So you're gonna have a minus 3x right there next.
Yay, I did it.
Did I do it?
Good, yes. Yep.
I think I did it right.
I did it.
Can I take a picture of this?
Oh.
Hannah, did you get both of those?
You said that we got right here.
Yes, yes.
I did that all by myself. I'm so proud of myself.
You did it.
Oh, my mom said she'll send it to,
She did, she did, thank you.
Sweetie bug.
Oh. Get away, you, that's good. I would combine these together right away. So 1 minus 3, just make that minus 2x right away.
Are we allowed to start packing up, Miss Children?
Not quite yet. 24 minus
Wait, hold on.
52. Try that again. Use your calculator too.
The pickle has oh, it's still going.
Alright, your homework for today. Is everybody listening?
Yes, ma'am.
Your homework for today is online. I believe it's already on there for you. Has anybody seen it on there? I'll double check to make sure. But it's 5.3 online.
See.
Okay? You're gonna need paper because you're gonna have to do the work.
Is it tough?
How many questions is it?
It's either 6 or 8, but not all of them are full problems like this.
May we do the shout outs? Come on, May.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Shout out to PewDiePie.
Okay, have a good day. Oh, and